I just finished episode 1 of Angel, and I just wanted to share some of my thoughts really quickly because it was a really good episode. I love this episode. And so while it's like fresh in my mind, I took some notes, but then I was like, why not just film it? Because I'm so in a filming mood. I'm not usually a fan of pilots, but this one, it was amazing. It was awesome. And maybe it's the work that they've already done with Buffy. Like, you can tell it's a different feel. You can get into it without having even seen Buffy. I actually have some friends who've watched Angel. I didn't tell them to do this, but they watched Angel and they've never seen Buffy. And they love Angel. So it's like you can just jump right into the story, but, you know, as a Buffy fan who has already seen Buffy, I've also already seen Angel, most of Angel. I think I definitely haven't seen all of the later episodes, but I've seen season 1 many times. Love the pilot. It's one of my favorites. It's one of the only pilots that I like rewatching because the dialogue is so great. The characters are great. Like, the way that they team up Cordelia and Angel is awesome when he just kind of runs into her at a party and you think maybe it's just a cameo, but no, she's gonna come back. And then when she realizes the bad guy's a vampire and she's like, wait a minute, I just need a mirror. There's no mirrors. You're a vampire. And he's like, no, I'm not. She's like, yes, you are. Like, I love that. We also get introduced to Doyle, who's a really cool character. I like Doyle. He's interesting. He has the half demon, half human, but he is much more lighthearted than Angel. Like, when he kind of balances out Angel's broody, serious side, he's more of the, I don't know if I'd call him a gray character, maybe a little bit. Like, he's more laid back and kind of doesn't have that whole quest for having to do good. Evil vampire guy reminded me a lot of the mayor. I don't know why. I feel like it's just the way he was written and the dialogue and his kind of smugness. Did this guy audition to be the mayor and they were like, you're so close. Let's wait and give you another role in our next series. I love Cordelia. I'm so excited. Her with the business cards. It's a hilarious idea, but so classically Cordelia. And we feel kind of sorry for her living in that like horrible, terrible apartment. Oh, I loved her mantras when she's like, you know, positive people will be attracted to my presence. I am happy. I am successful. But she's like living in a terrible, terrible apartment. And then she gets sent the limo and she's like repeating it. And she's like, it works. It's so cool. Dialogue and all those contradictions. Like, that's something that Joss Whedon is great at, and all of his shows have it. Buffy has it, Angel has it as well, and you see that in the pilot. The lines of dialogue, like the cheesiness versus the seriousness, and Angel with his, oh yeah, I was there in the depression. My depression. I was depressed there. And also offering milk and sugar and then realizing he doesn't have it. Like, oh, Angel. Classic Angel. All right, well, on to episode 2. This one's a really interesting one because we have a sex demon, a sex body host burrower, is that what they call it? A burrower, I think. Anyway, it moves from host to host through the act of sex. So definitely this show is more for mature audiences than the last one. Also, I guess in the pilot episode, we have a character that dies. Buffy also started out kind of dark with her friend dying pretty early on. But in general, like, we're getting a more darker vibe with Angel and more heavier adult issues. It's so weird to see them at a nightclub. Like, one of the things that's really weird when I watch this show, everyone seems so old. Because I think I was 14 or 15 when I watched Angel, maybe 16. But they were like adults and they were in nightclubs and that was stuff that, you know, I couldn't do. And now when I rewatch it, I'm like, they're so young. Except Angel, you know, he's like 200 years old. But Cordelia and Doyle are so young. I'm probably older than Doyle. I don't like this. But the monster, you know, like, coming out of people's chests and then going into the other one, like, that was so disgusting. But I wonder what that's a metaphor for, like STDs? I don't know why sex always is so bad in this show. This is not one of my favorite Angel episodes, but it was enjoyable. I loved rewatching it. I think because it's not one of my favorites, I hadn't seen it in a while, so it was refreshing to rewatch it, and it again had some really funny moments. I got tired of holding the camera, so hopefully this works. But episode 3 is, I think, my favorite Angel episode. Probably my favorite season 1 episode. My favorite one so far. We get Spike, who is hilarious, and it just opens with Spike kind of doing this monologue of Angel, pretend to be Angel, and I'm like, oh, I'm just a big fluffy puppy with something hair. Anyway, Angel does have really cool hair. Spike is awesome. Spike shows up in this episode. I think he makes this episode. We also see Oz, another fan favorite. I just love, like, the crossovers and seeing the old Sunnydale people there, and then Cordelia gets so excited when Oz comes and she's like, it's Oz, and I don't know, it's a fun episode. So episode 4 was really creepy. I fell to pieces. Very creepy, very disturbing, because in this one we have a creepy surgeon who can take apart his limbs and stalks this girl, like intense stalking this girl. And I mean, even if he didn't have magic powers and wasn't as possessive as he was, like, he's creepy because he went on one date with her and then sends her flowers and sends her like really weird messages and then meets up with her and like follows her around, and that's not cool. That's not cool. I kind of agree with Cordelia sometimes when she's like, what's the point of dating if everyone you meet is a creep? I don't think that's what she says, but that's basically the point of it. I think that's one of the things that I love about Buffy and Angel in general is like, it's the psychological aspect of the demons that make them so scary. Like this psychological fact of, here's a stalking man who can detach his limbs and he's gonna sneak his hands into this woman's bed. Like, that's so disturbing. The concept is so disturbing. And the eye, like watching her, such a disturbing episode. But we get to see Angel being awesome. Cordelia has some good moments and Doyle has some good lines. We are seeing more of the Doyle-Cordelia relationship, or lack of relationship, one-sided relationship. I kind of just want Doyle to ask Cordelia out. We get the conversation about Angel and his beautiful, beautiful dark coat. And I agree. He looks so badass when he walks down the streets and his like coat is flowing. I love that in the credits. I'm pretty sure when I was in high school, like, I bought a long black coat, cut on my Angel jacket, and it was leather, and I did not look as badass as I thought I did, but I wore it like everywhere all the time. And yeah, this one is good because we get a lot of great Cordy moments, and we get to meet Dennis, Phantom Dennis, the cool ghost. I was thinking there's like something that it reminds me of. It's Danny Phantom. I haven't actually seen Danny Phantom. I have seen like 2 episodes, but I don't remember it very well. So I'm not familiar with it, but just the names, they sound familiar. Hi, Kat. So we get lots of great Cordelia moments in this one. I love how creepy it is. It's like a classic horror poltergeist ghost story, right? She's in a haunted house. We get the creepy little music box. You get all those shivering feelings because I think the music is perfect for that. And then all of a sudden, Cordelia's like, no, you're not scaring me. You're not scaring me. I'm from Sunnydale. And like the bed is like rising, and it's just such a great play on expectations because obviously Cordelia is not your typical girl in a horror film, and her responses are very different. And I appreciated that. I also liked how we did get to see her get to that point of like emotional abuse where she is doubting herself, she is scared, she's in that place of vulnerability, and then she's like, no, you know what? I am Cordelia. I am going to be a bitch. The only plot point, that I had questions about on this one was, how did the ghost get the Angel's investigations number? Like, okay, imitating Angel's voice, I'll buy it. That's like a supernatural thing. But the ghost somehow picked up the phone, dialed the number, I guess maybe found one of Cordelia's calling cards, like looked through the desk and found, like, that just seems like a little bit too much awareness for a ghost. That aside, I liked the episode. I thought it was creepy. I liked all the twists that you couldn't really guess what happened from the beginning, that, you know, is it the kid? They think the kid's the murderer, but then it's the mom, and then the mom had murdered the kid, and then the kid was in the wall. Walling him up, how disturbing is that? That's the most disturbing thing I think we've seen. I don't know. We've seen a lot of really disturbing things this season. Basically, every episode so far is, here's a really creepy and disturbing thing that real life people could do. But then there's a little bit of extra superpowers thrown in there. Episode 6, I don't actually remember this one very much at all. It's where Kate is the main one, and she goes to police training, and there's a crime lord, and he works with Wolfram and Hart to get that like staff that they then pass around, and everyone gets in touch with their feelings and is kind and compassionate, but it all goes to like hell because the police officers are all acting on their emotions and they're not really being logical or rational at all. I didn't like this episode. I was a little confused as to what was going on and what exactly the stick was doing, and then the consequences of it. Because if all of their logic was gone and they were only acting on empathy and they were too over empathetic and like, we need to work together and we need to be understanding, I feel like there's a weird clash there of, you can try and be empathetic and work together and not actually hurt someone else and still stand up for yourself and be kind of like put strong boundaries in place and not be like spilling emotions all over. So I was confused. Like, was it magnifying their emotions? That's what it seemed more like to me. Like, it wasn't just allowing them to express what they were already feeling. It was like amplifying every single emotion that they ever felt, which, yeah, that would be really annoying. It was just a little boring. It kind of lacked. I felt like it wasn't very well paced, and there should have been more going on outside of that story, or I felt like it could have been a subplot within a larger story, but it was just, we don't know much about Kate, and now all of a sudden we have a very Kate-centric episode, and it almost makes me like her less, because I'm like, you're taking time away from Cordelia and Doyle and Angel, who we want to know more about and we already like. Right, episode 7 is another episode that I barely remembered at all. I completely forgot that Doyle had a wife until she came in, and then I was like, oh my gosh, I remember this, you know, so it's bit by bit. And I forgot that they were going to try and eat his brains, but I didn't trust them because they seemed a little creepy. So this is one of those ones that I feel like gets really into the spirit of Buffy and Angel very well, and in the sense that it kind of comes up with something very realistic, like a realistic demon that people have to face, and then they're like, and let's throw monsters into it as well. There are so many different layers where instantly you don't trust them, but then you kind of do trust them, and then you're like, all right, we shouldn't just mistrust demons because they're demons, because sometimes they could be good, but then you're like, oh wait, this one's actually bad. So it just toys with your thoughts, and it kind of goes all over the place, and I liked it. I enjoyed it. It's not one of my favorites, but I thought it was well done. It was fun to watch, and I was interested. I took some notes on these. My notes are, oh my god, Cordelia's date was a jerk. Oh yes, Cordelia's date was a jerk. Right, okay, so she goes out with this guy, and then a vampire comes and he just leaves her? Like, yeah, no, Cordelia, you can do better than that. WTF, Doyle has a wife? Oh, yeah, I remember that. And then I like how she's a nice person. Angel on the rooftops looks so cool. He does when he jumps. It's that cloak again, that jacket, that leather jacket. The bachelorette party was actually funny. Like, even monsters aside, the old ladies, yeah, I would hate to go to a bachelorette party like that. I'm cringing along with Harry and Cordelia. I also wrote the police station looks so weird. Of course, I can only compare it to Brooklyn Nine-Nine. So I just watched the one with Buffy. Let me just wipe my eyes a little bit because I was totally not crying. This episode is sweet but really sad, and I usually skip it because I don't like it, because I feel like it's super sweet, and then it's, once you know what's gonna happen, like, it's depressing, even like seeing how happy Buffy is and then knowing that she's never gonna be that happy. I feel like I should have more thoughts on this episode because it seems like it's like important, but I feel like it just bothers me so much that only Angel remembers and Buffy doesn't. Like, I don't like episodes in TV shows where characters forget that it happened, because then I'm like, well, then why am I watching it? If no one remembers it, like, what is the point? But at least Angel remembers it, so that's good. But I'm still like, I don't like it. You know what I wanted more of was the Buffy and Cordelia moments. I wanted to see more of that because we didn't get that much of it on Buffy, and now we have a whole new dynamic because Cordelia is working with Angel, and we as the audience have seen that Cordelia is kind of starting to grow as a character, so I wish that they'd had a little bit more on-screen time together, even though obviously the Buffy-Angel storyline is more important, and Buffy wouldn't have remembered anyway, and Cordelia wouldn't have remembered anyway, so probably would have just made me mad because neither one of them would have remembered. Alright, on to more Angel. This next one's gonna make me mad too, I know. So I just finished episode 9 of Angel. I told myself I wasn't gonna cry. Just when you start to really like Doyle, well, I don't know, I've kind of liked Doyle for a while. He's not one of my favorite Angel characters, and I'm ready for Wesley to come in, and I keep telling myself that, and the beginning of the episode starts out kind of slow, like, it's a cool premise because they're helping demons, and demons aren't bad, but I feel like it's been overdone. It feels very Doctor Who-ish with like the pure demons that want to kill all the half demons, and it's not my favorite episode at all. The story itself isn't great, but the ending is very, very impactful, especially when we get that moment where Cordelia, it basically says she wants Doyle to ask her out. Well, she says that, and then he starts to ask her out, and it gets interrupted because, oh wait, he has to die. I have a lot of thoughts about this episode, but I'm too emotional to express them. The video at the end, I think that's like the saddest and most beautiful part, is that video at the end. When they started filming it, I was like, I know what episode this is because our rats are low. So now we get to move on to Wesley. Okay, really fast interruption because I just started episode 10. And Doyle is still in the credits. Why is Doyle still in the credits? My guess is not to give away who they're going to fill it in with, but you kill off a character and then you put them in the credits. How dare? So I just finished episode 10, the one where Wesley comes back, and I love this episode. This is one of my favorite Angel episodes. I think the dialogue is amazing. The characterization is so great. The plot is interesting. It's good. I've seen it like a dozen times and I still enjoy it every single time because, again, of like the dialogue and the plot and Wesley. And Cordelia. Cordelia is great. She has so many great lines, even though she is kind of the damsel in distress. Like, she tries to get out of that empath demon's reach. So my best friend in high school, who's still my best friend today, or one of my best friends, she loves Wesley. She basically is Wesley. Like, I've never watched a show and seen a character that reminds me so much of someone in real life. Like, every time Wesley says a line, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's Josie. Like, if Wesley was a girl and lived in modern times without magic, he would be Josie. She's a teacher. She's an English teacher. She talks like Wesley. She occasionally tries to be super tough and badass with all of her leather stuff. She self-identifies as Wesley, so it's fine. But every time I watch this, so I think maybe I like Wesley better because of that, but I'd forgotten how funny Wesley was and just how entertaining he is and their dynamics. Like, the three of them, they have such good dynamics, especially like Wesley at the end when he's trying to leave and he just keeps talking about how life is so hard for a rogue demon hunter, and then Angel's like, you want breakfast? And he's like, oh please. There's so much to unpack in this episode and I love it because, you know, you have the demon who comes to Angel, and we learned in the last episode that we sometimes help demons, so they try and help the demon. And then there's this rogue demon hunter who you think's gonna be evil, but then it turns out to be Wesley, and then he's not evil because he's not chasing that demon, he's chasing another demon. But then it turns out that actually he should have been chasing that demon who's with Cordelia, and Cordelia's in danger, and the empathy demon, with his empathy, can really say everything to like pull at your heart emotionally because he's like playing Cordelia. There's just so much going on in this episode. And then, you know, Wesley finally has to face his realization that, yeah, he was fired from the only thing that he'd been training to do his entire life. There's just so much going on and I love it. So I just finished watching the 11th episode. I was gonna try and pronounce the name, but I don't know how to pronounce it. Why didn't they just call it Sleepwalker? Well, because he's not sleepwalking. It's when he's like walking in other people's dreams. Anyway, this episode was fine. It's not one of my favorites. I thought the beginning was a little boring and it definitely dragged in parts, but there were also some really good scenes, like when Kate stabbed the vampire through Angel. That was kind of cool. I think the contrast with Buffy is what's so great about this. Like, we know it's not the same show because there's a lot of things that they revisited. Like, Buffy would never have done that with Angel. And same as Cordelia at the end when she's talking to Angel and they have their heart to heart. And then he's like, but if you ever, you know, if I ever turn back, and she's like, then I'll kill you. And she's just so hardcore honest about it, like so straightforward about it. It's ironic because, you know, we've seen 3 seasons of Buffy where Buffy was like, no, I don't want to ever kill you. If you're evil, it'll be so hard. I don't know, there weren't as many comedic moments in this one, so once you've seen it one time, it's not as exciting because you kind of already know what's going to happen. It was a cool twist, though. I like the idea of, like, Angel, there's still evil going on in the world that was created by Angelus. It's true, like, when you do bad things, the effects and the consequences of this linger for a long time, even after you've decided to change and do good things. So that was, it's a cool message behind it. The next one I might skip because it's the one where Cordelia is pregnant with a demon baby, and that just grosses me out so much. I don't like that one.